It is Thursday, August 3rd. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. And now, back in the big chair, after being woefully ignored at the trade deadline, J.P. Shadrick.
And welcome in. It is Jaguars Happy Hour. It is Thursday. Training camp rolling along. Busy 2 hours ahead. Happy hour for the next hour, of course. And then the Doug Pederson show at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. Plenty to get to today on Jaguars Happy Hour. Week 2 of training camp has come to a close. The Jaguars are off tomorrow, and then it gets physical, it gets hot, it gets real Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We'll get to that coming up. Early O-line, D-line, one-on-one drills. We'll get Lageman's take on how those have gone the first couple days in pads. Wide receivers and DBs as well, getting some work in. And as we said, the Doug Pederson show, 5 o'clock. We'll recap some of the comments from head coach Doug Pederson earlier this week. Jeff Lageman, Jaguars analyst, joining me now from the Hyundai studios at the Miller Electric Center. Good afternoon, Logs.
Good afternoon, JP. You doing good?
I'm great, man. 2 weeks of training camp down. Well, kind of. 8 practices?
Yeah, I wouldn't say 2 weeks, but into it.
8 practices, 2 of them in pads, right? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, that's right. Originally, I think the plan was for them to have pads on Monday. That was kind of the expectation. Then it got moved back to Tuesday, and so you had 2 padded practices. And then today it was back into what is called – some people are calling it shoulder pads, but they're not shoulder pads. They're called spider shells. And so when you're in spider shells, just so people know, there's no live contact, okay? It's just all it is. It's a device that goes on your shoulders that literally is like a webbing of pads. It's not doesn't have any hard plastic to it whatsoever. It's all a soft material, and it's just designed so that if 2 people collide, it gives just a little cushion.
You're not doing thud tempo or anything.
It's basically the same material that they make knee pads out of, okay? But it's in a spider web arrangement across the tops of the shoulders. But it is not a contact piece of equipment. Some people get confused by that. Some people call them shoulder pads. They're not shoulder pads. Okay, they're just called spider pads. There's a big difference.
Big difference.
No contact.
None.
No live contact in spider pads.
So you'll get more of your real work in, your evaluation. A lot of it will come when they have true shoulder pads.
Correct.
That's how
and the last 2 days I think were awesome. I mean, you get to watch, because everybody looks good when it's in shorts. I mean, we used to call
I look great when there's shorts.
Well, no,
come on,
I wouldn't go that far.
Come on, Lux.
But you talk about the underwear Olympics in football. Where you have guys in shorts and you're running, you're doing drills and all that kind of stuff, and everybody can look really good in that. Well, almost everybody. Okay, you and I cannot look good doing that anymore. I can't do it anymore.
Not at all.
Okay, but all football players, for the most part, on a 90-man roster, when there's no pads, they look. Hey, look, he's got a little something. I mean, they look like they all belong. But then when the pads go on, look, there's guys that get weeded out. And guys look like they belong, and some look like they don't belong. And that's just kind of part of it. And it's, you got a little bit of an evaluation with 2 days, and then I think you're going to get a really good evaluation because you're now starting to enter – I don't know if there really is such a thing anymore with training camp being modified the way it is with collective bargaining, but it's the grind, okay? It's the modern-day grind of training camp, which is the window that you get into essentially a week out from the first preseason game. You're going against the same guys. The weather's hot. You're tired. You're tired going against the same guys day in and day out. You sometimes get tired of smelling the guy's BO next to you day in and day out. And you're ready for something different. And that's why I think the tempers can flare a little bit. So, I wouldn't be surprised if you had – maybe a push-shove altercation at some point on Saturday or Sunday or Monday. And when you put 3 days together in pads back to back to back, and at this window, this particular juncture of training camp, yeah, things can get a little testy.
Yeah, the Saturday practice inside the stadium, I was told today there's a huge response for tickets for that, and should be a big crowd, little elevated atmosphere, if you will, and then back to the practice field for what should be the longest practice so far in training camp. I think it's on the schedule, almost 2.5 hours.
Which one is that?
On Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Monday, of course. So, yeah, you're right. The intensity will continue to ramp up. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving.
Just a note on the in-stadium practice. And, there's some coaches that like to get away, have no crowds, have no quote-unquote distractions. And the smart coaches, and Doug is one of them, they realize that when you have fans in attendance, it has a tendency to heighten the awareness, heighten the intensity, because you're performing not just against your teammates, but you're also performing in front of people. And when there's more eyes on you, JP, I mean, that's why Monday night and Sunday night and all those other national TV games, I mean, guys get pumped because they know there's more eyeballs on them. And so when you have a practice that's in front of lots of eyeballs, the intensity can get raised a little bit. And as a coach or an evaluator, if you're Trent Baalke and his staff, I mean, that's the kind of environment that you want to have to evaluate some of the players that you have on your roster, where it's a heightened environment. You'll get that on Saturday in the stadium. You'll get that against the Detroit Lions next week, or excuse me, in 2 weeks. And that's a good thing. I mean, those practices with other teams, and there's fans in attendance, but and again, there's more eyeballs that are watching it, and there's other eyeballs from the other team, and it makes that intensity go up. And you realize that, hey, look, some of these young guys, they might be auditioning for a job in Detroit because there may be no room for them here in Jacksonville. You never know.
We'll get some of your evaluation of the offensive line, defensive line, one-on-one work. I know you were all over that yesterday.
Watched it live, watched it on film. Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of evaluation when they go into pads.
We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. I think the biggest story of camp, though, so far has been Calvin Ridley and his impact, what he could bring to this Jaguars offense. The first week of camp, I mean, I think the fans were just amazed at what he could do in terms of running routes, and they haven't seen that in a while around here. Yesterday, though, there was a lot going on, let's say. Doug Pederson, before practice, said he had some toe soreness. Well, then later he comes out and he practiced the entire practice because he changed cleats. It was a cleat issue that was causing some soreness in the bottom of his foot, he said. He got through practice yesterday, but he also had at least 4 drops during team work yesterday, and he was asked after practice today about being rusty. Here's his response.
No, I'm never going to think I'm going to be rusty. No. If I drop a pass, does not mean I'm rusty. I just dropped it. I was so wet yesterday, I couldn't keep it on my body. And a player like me, I'm never gonna think it's rust. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say that. This training camp, what day is it? 8? Pretty sore today. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not rusty. And yesterday, I look at that. I did so much good. And yesterday, I did so much good. And there was some bad. There's gonna be some good and bad. And I look at it as a win. I'm out here in this training camp. Like I said, I got to get through this. That's what I'm doing. I know how hard training camp is, and this is probably one of the hardest training camps I've ever been in. So I know that I got to continue to work to get better, to be dominant come game 1.
So that's Calvin Ridley. Yeah, and he means that because he hasn't been in one in a while, right? Obviously, it's been a minute since he's been in a training camp. It's a big year for him. How does he battle through a little adversity this week and move forward? I think you heard from there.
Well, let me go back because you said that we haven't seen that in a while around here about how he runs routes. Yeah. I would disagree with that.
Okay.
I think Christian Kirk and Zay Jones are 2 of outstanding route runners. I think it's he's just a different player. I think it's a better way to put it.
Okay.
He's got definitely a level of quickness. The way he comes in and out of breaks is a little different. But, I mean, look, Christian Kirk comes in and out of breaks in an incredibly fast fashion. Zay Jones might be one of the best sell jobs when it comes to routes on movement with the head to move defensive backs in one way or another, or safeties to one way or another that there is in the National Football League. So, but he's a different athlete because he combines speed, quickness, and route running ability all in one. And so he's kind of a combination of different players. And, we were trying to figure out, I think, who would you compare him to somebody that's played recently in the league or something of that nature. And the name Antonio Brown came up. And Antonio Brown, the first thing people think of when you think of Antonio Brown is the negative. But think of the positive that Antonio Brown used to do when he was with Pittsburgh and Ben Roethlisberger. About the same size, got speed, the catching the balls and everything is similar. Now, a little different player, but it's fun to watch Calvin Ridley. And there was a moment in yesterday's practice to where things got heated and one-on-ones. I'm talking heated.
So wide receiver corner stuff you're talking about, right?
Correct.
So Calvin was having issues dropping the ball, and then there's penalty flags flying. There's contact.
It's competition,
right? There's all that going on. There's a little bit of chirping, but not that. It was getting a little elevated.
It was never going over the top.
That's right.
It was just intense competition because it started out Tyson Campbell's lineup against Calvin, and look, this is high-level competition. I mean, you got two alpha dogs lining up in front of each other, and it's competitive, and everybody's watching, and they know it. And there were some penalty flags that were thrown, and then they had, I want to say 2 or 3 matches. And then all of a sudden, Darius Williams wants to chirp a little bit, and Calvin Ridley says, "You get out there, come on, bring it," and they do. And then Darius Williams goes out there, and Darius Williams gets called for a flag on Calvin Ridley. I mean,
holding.
This was great stuff. I mean, this is high level competition, and this is the kind of stuff that makes the elite players what they are. I mean, highly competitive, and it makes everybody better. And it's fun to watch. I mean, when we're sitting there watching all this go down, I mean, this was fantastic.
I talked to Darius Williams today, and the interview will be on the official Jaguars podcast network coming up very soon. Not a guy that goes on the record a lot. He's not a big media guy, but when he talks, he has a lot to say. And he mentioned those receivers and that type of competition helping the corners get better too. It goes both ways. I mean, when you have that type of level of receiver going at you like that, it helps the entire team get better.
I had a conversation with Zay Jones. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, and was just talking to him about the room. The wide receiver room. And I asked him, I said, look, is this the best room you've ever been in? And what I mean by room, when I'm using that term, it doesn't necessarily mean the collection of talent or the skill set. It means the quality of the people that are in the room and how they collectively go to work. Because that's the one thing that was so impressive last year. You heard me, JP, and we were talking about this many times last year about how important it was to have a hardworking group of wide receivers for a young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. And these guys came to work and practice every day in Zay Jones and Christian Kirk. It was awesome to watch. And Evan Ingram, I'd put him in that group as well. And Zay said, yes, it's the best room that he's ever been in. He said, and Calvin definitely raises the level of that room up just because of his abilities. But the thing that's impressive, I mean, you're talking about some of the hardest working team first guys that I've ever seen. Now, haven't seen enough of Calvin Ridley. There's not enough track record to say that he's into that same mold as Zay or Christian, because they showed it last year. Mm-hmm. And so you got to still see a little bit of that of Calvin, but you expect it because the way that he comes to work every day, he's there to play football and to work hard, and that's been impressive to watch. Had a conversation with wide receivers coach Chad Hall. Yep. Said the same thing. And it's been fun watching Chad Hall, and a lot of people know that he's a new coach on the staff, came from the Buffalo Bills. He has been nothing short of impressive in my eyes. How he communicates with these guys, how the guys respond to him, because a lot of times you can have the greatest message in the world as a coach, but if it's not being heard, it doesn't matter how good that message is. And Chad Hall, you can tell, has a lot of respect from his group.
Jags fans want customized Jaguars furniture for your home? Check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. Zipchair furniture for fans. We're on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com. Jags social media as well, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and plenty to get to. Coming up at about 4:30, Kai Stevens will join us, Jaguars.com reporter. We'll get her thoughts on what has happened the first couple of weeks of training camp. But when we return, the defense looking to improve in many categories. Josh Allen explains how. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving.
Have you noticed? It's raining a lot in our area lately. That means you can give your sprinklers a break and save some money in the process. Lawns only need water up to twice a week, and that can come from rain. So before you run your sprinklers, remember to watch the weather and wait to water. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
Are you ready to elevate your tailgate experience, Jaguars fans? Citrus Distillers, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is excited to announce the 2023 Jaguars Limited Edition Whiskey Bottle. Now available at Total Wine and other participating retailers. Elevate your tailgate experience, Jaguars fans. The 2023 Jaguars Limited Edition Whiskey Bottle. Duval!
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more, or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Don't get sacked by a no-name propane rookie this football season, Jacksonville. Draft an all-star and switch to AmeriGas, the official propane provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the homes and businesses who know it was always the Jags. Show off your Duval pride at your next tailgate with a Jaguars grill tank from AmeriGas. To find an AmeriGas exchange location near you or to order a propane fill-up for your home or business, visit AmeriGas.com/Jacksonville-Jaguars or call 844-PRO-JAGS.
Once you get the call now, it's, you know your responsibility, see the formation, go line up and play fast. I think we're at that point now. There's a couple nuances in the defense, but other than that, it's line up, play fast.
Josh Allen, Jaguars outside linebacker. Welcome back. It is Jaguars Happy Hour. It is Thursday. I'm JP Shadrick. That's Jeff Lageman. Kai Stevens coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll get her thoughts on the Jags training camp so far. Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. We're on 1010XL AM, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Anywhere you want to find us, we're there, Logs. We are there.
It's amazing the number of avenues that people can look at you.
That's right. Well, in high definition and everything. Great. Just what I need.
You could have shaved, JP.
Hey, you too, by the way.
I know, but I'm kind of burly all the time.
So am I.
You are looking good, though.
Yeah,
you got a tan.
You're darn right I am.
You're looking good, JP.
I didn't want to say it, but you brought it up. All right, so Josh Allen, that brings us into the pass rush one-on-one conversation. I know you were right there on the doorstep yesterday to see some of those matchups, and that's really a fun part of camp for you. I know Baselli loves that stuff too, just to kind of get an idea of what's going on. 2 days into those one-on-ones, what is the general theme of what stands out on the defensive side first?
Overall, the offense is winning.
Okay.
I mean that's if you look at, you want to paint a big picture of the offensive line is winning.
Is that normal this time of camp, or is that?
No, I mean usually it's kind of 50-50 a little bit. I mean, but for the most part, this offensive line is winning, and that's concerning. You want to have the defensive line.
Unless you're the offensive line.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, they love it.
If you're a Phil Rauscher, you're like, the offensive line coach, you're like, this is great, Yeah. And look, I'm not saying that the offensive line is winning every one of them, but they're winning the majority of them. And this is a drill that it's kind of advantage defense a little bit. There's no chipping. There's no help from another offensive lineman. There's no play action that might slow you down as a pass rusher. You're trying to get to one spot. It's not like there's a moving quarterback and there's bootlegs and everything else. So this is kind of a drill, much like 7-on-7 passing drill is advantage offense. 1-on-1 pass rush should be advantage defense. And the defense is not winning at the rate that I would expect in this drill, and that's a little bit concerning. And the guys that you would expect to win more than others or at a higher percentage, your Josh Allen, your Trayvon Walker, they're not winning more than anybody else. I mean, so that's something to keep an eye on, and it's early in camp. It's not time to panic or anything like that, but it's something that you're sitting there going, that needs to get better. Because if this defense is going to be able to take steps and get better as a defense to improve on their, 24th ranking last year? It was 24th or 26th, somewhere in the mid-20s.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're going to get better, then you've got to be able to make improvement. Now, there's some guys that I think that I'm excited to continue to watch. Look, I'm excited that I know Josh is going to get better. I expect Trayvon to be more physical. But also at the same time, let's compliment where compliments are due. Walker Little's looked really good.
He's in there
really good.
At left tackle, obviously. And, yeah, I mean, he's lined up. Trayvon Walker, I talked to him today, and lining up against Walker Little. And just the size and the strength and everything that's come with Walker Little improving over the last year or so especially, it's good to see.
Yeah, he looks good. His feet are really good. His hands are patient. He's not getting out of control. Cam Robinson, I think, has looked strong. His feet have been good. Josh Wells is, he's looked okay, but he looks solid. I mean, that's Josh. I mean, you don't expect him to look as good as Walker Little or Cam Robinson because there's a reason why he's a backup swing tackle.
Solid veteran tackle, right?
Correct.
He got some time today because Anton Harrison was off to the side.
And he's been off to the side for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit concerning that Anton Harrison has not been practicing for a little bit. So that's something to keep an eye on. Some of the younger guys, because you always look for younger guys to maybe have some flashes. The one guy that I'm liking is Yasir Abdullah. I like his suddenness. I like his ability with his hands. He's tenacious. He practices extremely hard. I think this is a guy that will be able to give them some quality snaps. And he's what is he, like a fifth-round pick out of Louisville, I think is what he was. Yep. He's not the only thing that's kind of concerning about him is that he doesn't have great length.
He's listed at 6'1", 240.
That's the concern. Okay, but there's been guys that have been some pretty good pass rushers that have been in this league that didn't have that 6'5", 6'6", 270-pound range, and
not everybody's Javon Curse, right?
Oh, well, but there's guys like Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis that we saw firsthand for many years in the division with the Indianapolis Colts that gave them some great reps. I mean, could he be somebody like that? I mean, and those are like lofty. I mean, two of the best all time when you talk about small-time pass or small-bodied pass rushers. But I mean, and so I'm not trying to say that he's at that level. I'm just saying that you hope that he can have somewhat of the effectiveness of those guys because they're similar body types. But I like his suddenness. Other than Lacey,
Tyler Lacey,
out of
Oklahoma
State. He's got some size. I think he's a work in progress as a pass rusher. He's a defensive tackle. He's one of those big, stout, strong, run-stuffing guys. And he's not like a nose tackle. He's probably more of like a 3 technique or a big end. And I think as a pass rusher, he needs work and he needs development. So the pass rush has got to come from Josh and Trayvon and somebody else. Big Roy has got to be a factor. The best inside pass rushing defensive tackle so far in camp is the same guy that was the best last year in season, and that's Devon Hamilton. Brandon Sheriff is having a hell of a time trying to slow him down. Devon's a big dude, man.
Yeah.
Big, powerful dude, and he just takes Brandon and just it's almost roller skates, but not quite. But he's a big, powerful man.
It's PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jaguars. They have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. All right, so let's continue in the middle of that offensive line. You mentioned Sheriff at right guard. Shatley has been getting time at left guard. He was out of practice today for a minor medical issue. That's what Mark Long tweeted before practice today.
The minor medical issues are always the one that other people have.
Yeah, that's right. They're not minor when they're happening to you. It's funny how that works. Center, Luke Fortner, year 2 for him.
Yeah.
The weight room in the offseason was really the big key for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a chance to chat with him yet.
I talked with him yesterday.
What's he feel like?
Well, my first question is what's your weight at? Because, he looks better. Yeah. Looks maybe just a little bit bigger. And he said, last year he was 308. This year he's the same weight, 308. But he said, obviously, he felt better that it's in a better place. There are 308 pounds that are distributed where you want it more. And he trained back in Kentucky, and he said one of the things that he really worked hard on, besides the typical, let's get big and strong, weightlifting, I guess you could say, tools, which were squat, deadlift, those type of things. He said he did a lot of functional weight training where you're doing lunges with weight and things where you're doing power movements, which would simulate more football athletic activities.
Not just standing there and lifting weight up in the air.
Look, when you get in a football field and you get in a 3-point stance, it's not very often you're squatting a defensive lineman. Okay, you're extending and
it might be a penalty, actually.
I mean, all those things are you're trying to simulate and through different movements. And Luke said that was a big part of his off-season training was the functional strength training. He said he feels really strong. And he said, last year he said a lot of times there was certain things that he would do that he goes that I just didn't feel like I could hold it. And he goes, this year I feel like I can hold it. So, kudos to him because he looks thinner in the face and more broad and more defined. And so kudos to him because, when you're a young man and you come into this league and you're sometimes 20, 21 years old, you're all of a sudden getting around some guys that are almost 30, and they've been professionally training for years, and it's become their job to work out and become a professional football player. So whereas a guy like Fortner and a young player, you're still growing into your body. You're still becoming a man, so to speak. A lot of times you see like the world-class power lifters that are in this world are in their late 20s. Because the body is still maturing and getting stronger as you're in your 20s.
There's a grown man strength is a real thing.
Yeah, it is. And so you'll see a lot of guys from the rookie year into about year 4 to where they make tremendous progress. And then sometimes when you get about year 4, then you start to have injuries that slow some of that stuff down, and you're just trying to maintain or make smaller incremental advancements.
All right, plenty more coming up Saturday, Sunday, Monday with everything in the trenches, one-on-ones. We'll get some more of your analysis coming up next week on that. Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. And we're back in a moment with our newest team member on Jaguars Broadcasting, Kai Stevens, with her thoughts on camp. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Have you noticed? It's raining a lot in our area lately. That means you can give your sprinklers a break and save some money in the process. Lawns only need water up to twice a week, and that can come from rain. So before you run your sprinklers, remember to watch the weather and wait to water. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com. Hey, Jags fans, stop dreaming of creating your game day fan cave and build the Jaguars den of your dreams with ZipChair. When it comes to maximum comfort, ZipChair.com is the only place for officially licensed Jaguars recliners, sofas, bar stools, office and gaming chairs, all featuring high-quality embroidered Jags logos. Crack open a few cold ones in the comfort of a ZipChair and make your home the place to be on game day. Head over to ZipChair.com and save 20% today. Use code JagsRadio at checkout. ZipChair.com, furniture for fans.
Hey, Jags fans. Renewal by Andersen is a proud partner with your favorite team, and they bring that same commitment to excellence to your home's windows and doors. With their advanced Fibrex material and energy-efficient glass options, their windows and doors are the perfect choice for your next home improvement project. Let them help you bring more light and life into your home. Schedule a complimentary consultation today. Renewal by Andersen, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CGC 1527613.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. If you're in the market for a full-size 8-passenger SUV, look no further than the Defender 130. And with the Defender 90, the 110, and this 130, there's luxury in the right size for everyone. Right, Sammy?
Plus, when you buy or lease from Land Rover Jacksonville, you'll become a member of the Fields Amenities Program with complimentary loaners, car washes, our cafe, and much more, all at no charge.
I just want to show, I'm a great football player. That's it. Prove to myself, that I could be the best corner in the NFL. So that's the mindset you got to have at DV, and I just want to win. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, and that's the mindset, be relentless.
Relentless Tyson Campbell, and welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. We're on 1010XL AM, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars social media as well. Kai Stevens joining us now. From Jaguars AM, Jaguars Reporter, Jaguars.com, all the Jaguars things.
On the PM show today as well. So
welcome back.
Thank you
very
much.
Welcome. Stuck around all day. You had the Jags AM today, right?
I did. I'm trying to become a morning person for the Jags AM purposes, but I am more of a night owl in general, so I do appreciate an evening show.
Well, thanks for coming back. We appreciate it. So, all right.
By the way, did you guys notice the pork chop sideburns on Tyson Campbell?
He's getting it. It's a look. Is it a training camp look only?
Cool?
I know.
I'm digging that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, that's like 1970s, I'm digging it. And when I saw Tyson when he was on his way to the podium, that was yesterday, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, days run together.
It's okay.
So I'm on the way to the podium yesterday, and I'm like, sweet. I'm liking that. Nice, Tyson.
Yeah. He's we were talking about it earlier, Logs, the competition that they had
so cool
yesterday with Calvin Ridley, and that whole thing really kind of stands out as one of the highlights of the first couple of weeks, I think, Kai.
You can just see how intensely both of them are being. Obviously, Calvin's excited to be back on the field, but Tyson's just like, I think he got beat on that first one-on-one, but Calvin dropped it. But Tyson was so mad at himself, and he immediately went over. I think he was talking to Deshae and kind of figuring out what they were going to do. And it's just so cool to see obviously you want to go as hard as you can in every rep, but to actually feel like they want to beat each other. And you have to imagine that's going to make them better when it comes to the season when they're both going against each other in practice.
Well, and it gets highlighted because it's right in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all the media's right there. It's right there to where it's literally center stage.
Yes.
And so that makes the competition even better. And you bring up Deshae, which is the defensive cornerbacks coach, Deshae Townsend. I mean, you talk about even competitive with him. I mean, he's barking at the officials that are there to try to help the football team get better on the field. He's barking at them because he's sitting there, you can't throw a flag on my guy. You got to let them have the right to space, too.
Yeah, well, when your guy is holding two fistfuls of jersey, guess what? The flag's going to come out,
I was just sitting there going, Deshae, spoken like a true former cornerback in the National Football League. What are you doing throwing that flag? That's not a flag.
That's so funny. Kai Stevens is with us. So, this is when it gets real starting on Saturday, it feels like. 3 straight padded practices in the stadium for one of them, big crowd expected, then back out here. It's not quite, I think I wrote today in the camp observations on Jaguars.com, it's not quite Junction, Texas circa 1954, but it's as close as these Jaguars will get, Kai.
Yeah, as training camp is now the way they do it. They don't do 2 days anymore, Jeff, which I'm sure you can tell us all about.
I'm jealous.
But what they do now is they kind of, go back and forth a little bit. They started pads on Tuesday, right? And I think Doug was talking a little bit the other day about just this little stretch. I think over the weekend will be those kind of really longer padded, really physical practices, which you need to have at some point, right? I mean, it is football. It's a physical game. So as much as you want to protect your players and lengthen their career or, allow them to be their best when the season comes around, you still have to figure out, you're playing football a little bit. So I think in this little stretch, we'll see a lot of what the team is going to become, I guess, in terms of what their physicality will be, what their identity is going to be.
Yeah, because Kai's right. I mean, it's still football. Okay, you still have to establish toughness and discipline and the physical toughness and the mental toughness. You have to be able to battle through the heat. And this 3-day stretch, it will be the grind of training camp, and it's the grind of the modern-day training camp. And I think that the advancements and the changes that they now have with training camps, it's just so smart. They've got the protective shells, what I call the kazoo helmets, on top of the helmets that helps protect the players from collisions and prevent concussions. I mean, that's smart. The way that they have one practice a day and then a walk through the second one, I mean, that's smart. I mean, where were all these things 20-some-odd years ago? I mean, there was a lot of guys in the union years ago that were begging to have smart, sensible approaches to training camp like there is today. But the old school football guys just weren't willing to let go of that style of coaching.
Yeah. Times change.
It's a good thing to see. I mean, they got the cooling stations too. I was saying when we were off air, it must be such a difference when you started in New York and then you come down here and have training camp. It's just walking outside is difficult. So I have no idea how they practice currently and how you did 2 days.
Yeah, when I came down here, the first thing you get used to it. I mean, you acclimate to your environment. And so the very first year of this franchise, which was 1995, we actually all got on planes and went to Stevens Point, Wisconsin to beat the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we go to Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and what happens? Well, it's the hottest summer on record for Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Literally, the front page of the newspaper is up there. Cows dying in fields.
Serves you right.
And we're
There you
sitting
go.
there going,
Try to
well, what
get away.
about us? How about us? No, but it was incredibly demanding. Then the subsequent years that we had of all the training camps were here. And you get used to it. But, I mean, there were guys that were losing, because we were having full padded practices twice a day, and they were lasting 3 hours. And so your amount of time, recovery time, was very limited. So some guys would lose 10, 12, 14 pounds in a practice and would never get that weight back for the second practice. And then now you're back farther than you were after the first practice. Now you're just trying to keep your head above water to get the weight back on and get hydrated for the practice the next day. And that was a challenge, but you found a way to get it done.
If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. It's loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. This truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're on 1010XL AM, 92.5 FM. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, Kai Stevens. What's your favorite conversation with a Jags player or coach so far this camp, Kai?
I think I enjoy the coaches. I think we did a Hunt episode with a bunch of the former coaches that are former players. So
that's almost all of them.
Almost all of them. And we brought it up to Doug, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even realize how many of them were former players." But Deshae Townsend, who's the cornerbacks defensive backs coach, he's great. I love him. I love Brenton Buckner and all of them, and just kind of like how they talk about it. Brenton was really funny because he was talking about when he uses video to teach them things. He uses his old, I just imagine it's a VHS.
Does.
I imagine
Hey,
it's a
look at
VHS
me.
tape. I imagine he carries a VHS tape around and he
By
just
the way,
plays it for them.
he actually is smart using his tape because he was a really good football player. I mean, when he was in Carolina and they had that defensive line in Carolina, they were really good. Yeah, really good.
And he says as much. He calls himself out, though. He's like, when I'm telling you, he's like, he shows them when he messes it up, and then he shows them how he fixed it. So I think you kind of get that immediate credibility, right? When you're like, okay, he actually did exactly what he's talking about. So I can trust him a little bit more. So the players kind of, I would imagine, relate a little bit easier.
Those are fun. That's a good coaching staff. That's a fun coaching staff.
Yeah, no, it's a good coaching staff, and you asked the question, who does Kai like talking to, and you brought up the coaches. I mean, look, there's some great coaches, and they've got great perspective because like you said, a lot of them have played the game and now they're coaching. But I will say this is one of the best locker rooms that I've ever covered. I mean, like the quality of the guys that Trent Baalke and Doug Pederson
There's really no
have in
drama
this
that I have
locker room.
seen.
I mean, when you talk to guys, I mean, these guys are smart, they're well-spoken, they're thoughtful, and they're appreciative of the time that they're spending with you. They're not trying to just ignore you and your media. I don't have time. I mean, that's a credit to the organization because those are the type of people that you have to win. You can still have a crazy here or there, okay, but you can't have a whole room full of them.
You kind of need a crazy here or there, right?
Just an
No, you
exception.
don't need a crazy. Sometimes it makes it exciting. It makes it takes a little bit of the staleness sometimes out of the locker room.
Yeah,
but you can't have a whole room full of them.
That's true.
I think there's a lot of players here, at least, maybe the wide receiver core as an example, that played other places and maybe it wasn't great. I know we've had a couple talks with Evan Ingram, and he's just so appreciative of being where he is now. When you played other places and, you played in New York, it's a whole other beast there. So, Enze Jones has traveled around, and I think now that they're in a good situation, they appreciate it even more. And when you have that from your veteran players, I think it trickles down to everyone else too.
So far, so good in training camp for this team. Off day tomorrow, Kai.
I know. What are we going to do with our free time?
I don't know. What? Yeah. How about that?
What does one do? The beach?
Get ready for Saturday.
That's true. Saturday will be
That's what
good.
happens.
I don't know if tickets are still available, but I'm excited to be in the stadium and kind of see them in game-like action,
It'll
if
be
you will.
crowded. Jaguars.com/training camp for all the latest info for the stadium practice and all the practices open that remain at the Miller Electric Center. Kai Stevens, Twitter, X handle, what is it called now? X?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not
You're not
engaging
on
in the
there?
X. I'm still
It's
Twitter. I
X.
still have the Twitter bird. I'm
You still
fighting
do?
it. Yes.
They
I
changed
refuse
mine.
to upgrade.
They changed mine the other day.
I'm not going to do it.
automatically. What is the handle?
It's my full name. It's Kainani, so it's Kainani Stevens, Stevens.
Give her a follow if you haven't already.
So can somebody buy the name Twitter and start their own Twitter now? Or is that still owned by X?
I mean, Logs, I know you did well in your career. Maybe it could be you. I don't know.
Have to find out about that.
The new Twitter guy.
Yeah. I'm big on Twitter.
He's a big social media a maven of sorts.
Big on Twitter.
Jeff Lageman. Loves it.
Yeah. On it all the time.
Kai, great to see you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming back in this afternoon.
Anytime.
Kai Stevens, Jaguars reporter with us. Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. The injury report coming up in a moment. Then at 5 o'clock, the Doug Pederson Show. This is Jaguars Happy Hour.
Have you noticed? It's raining a lot in our area lately. That means you can give your sprinklers a break and save some money in the process. Lawns only need water up to twice a week, and that can come from rain. So before you run your sprinklers, remember to watch the weather and wait to water. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative, results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated. Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
You got to seek higher ground. This is a number one seed. This team needs to be playing, getting the bye and playing with the number one seed. And I think there's possible. The schedule's favorable. Kansas City in week 2 is a bonus for you. Buffalo in London is a bonus for you. You normally wouldn't get those. Those are games that you have to find a way to win. And if you find a way to win those games with the way the rest of the schedule is, I think you're going to end up with the number one seed. Now, there's always this, though. They learned how to win last year. They learned how to win close games. Yes. They learned how to win playoff games. They learned how to win big games. Some of these teams, like everybody's anointing the Jets already, they haven't learned how to do it yet. So that's a big advantage for them. But now comes the tough part. is keeping the edge to do that again. And I think it's sustainable because of the quarterback. Whenever you have that guy, it's sustainable.
Pete Prisco, CBS Sports senior writer, joining us on Jaguars.com. The full conversation available on the official team website and the official Jaguars podcast network. He was here for a couple days. It's really our annual chance to see Pete in person. He doesn't come around during the season.
No, he does. Every now and again he does.
Very rare.
Yeah, it's not very often.
Very rare.
But like for a couple big games, he'll make sure that he finds his way here to Jacksonville because Pete, lived here back in the day.
Sure.
Went all the way back to 1995. He was the beat writer for the Florida Times-Union. John Osher also was with the Florida Times-Union during that era. So I used to have to talk to Pete in the locker room.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, Pete was great. I got along with Pete very well. He was entertaining. He was
still is.
He was never shy. He was never intimidated. And as a player, I respected that. I mean, he had a job to do, and he was not afraid to do it. And he was not afraid to ask questions that some other ones might beat around the bush. Pete would just come out and, there it is. Here's the question. And you're like, all right, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, here's the amazing thing. Pete
still does that.
Was the early days. Gene Fournette has been in the locker room since day one, 1995. I mean, so there's been a couple of guys that have been around a long time.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. We're on 92.5 FM, 1010XL, Jaguars.com, Jags social media. Time now for the injury report presented by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple of players still on the active, physically unable to perform list. Ben Bartch, one of those. He's been off kind of behind the offense during teamwork, standing near the coaches, kind of simulating reps when the offense is on the field. So, I mean, it kind of feels like at some point you could see him maybe make a move to get back to practice.
I think in a week or two.
Yeah.
And, he had the knee injury last year. And a lot of times when you have a guy that is rehabbing, coming back from an injury, like a Ben Bartch or like a Fred Smoot, that's coming back from the Achilles.
Said Fred Smoot.
Dewan Smoot.
Fred Smoot was, didn't he go to Mississippi State?
Yeah, tight end.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, sorry about that. Not so many names in the brain from back in the day.
Yeah.
But Smoot also, so with a guy that's had an Achilles or a guy that's had a knee, sometimes you have milestones that you want to reach. When I say milestones, like dates, okay? For example, let's see, it's a knee injury. Let's say, okay, we don't want to get him back before we get to the 10-month period. Or an Achilles, let's make sure we don't get him back until we get to 9 or 10 months period as well. So they're kind of holding them back because they want to make sure that they continue to do some of the functional football drills without the pressure of having other bodies around them. And so if you watch during practice, Ben Bartch is not doing the drills, but he's doing a lot of football movements throughout practice.
Yeah.
And so that's good. And I think in the next week or two that they will probably try to get him back out there. And it will be interesting to see how it goes, because the reality is that when Bartch got hurt last year, Shatley stepped in and did a fantastic job. Fantastic job. They couldn't find anybody else to play better than Shatley for the remainder of the year. So this year, will Bartch earn that starting job back? Will Shatley hold on to it? And then, okay, what happens if Shatley wins it and then Cam comes back in week, 3? Is it?
It'd be week 5.
5, I mean,
back,
4
yes.
games, 5.
That's right.
Okay, he comes back in 5. Does one of those guys, Cam or Walker Little, move into guard and move one of those guys out? I mean, it's just interesting to watch. But anyway, back to the injury report. I think we'll see those guys when they're ready.
Doug Pederson earlier this week mentioned Andre Cisco, some hamstring tightness day-to-day with him. Roy Robertson-Harris had some heat exhaustion Tuesday. I saw him in the cold tub after practice today.
In the cold tub.
It works.
When I was brought up with when Kai was in here about Stevens Point being the hottest summer on record, there was a budget, for training camp, And the Jaguars at that time, and I think John Jones, I think his name was, and he was kind of – so you had different people like that worked with the organization. Michael Hugh was kind of the general manager, but he wasn't the general manager from a personnel standpoint because that was Tom. But then I think it was John Jones handled the budget and like the training camp and all that kind of thing. Well, in the first couple days or a week, we blew through, or the team blew through, the budget for ice. Right? and the way I understand it is that John was like, well, we can't spend any more money. We've already spent our money on ice. And Coughlin's like, you go find me some ice. Because, I mean, we were literally, and they had a certain number of like little tanks that were made for getting into, but it was so hot. And there were so many people that were wanting to get in the ice. So they went out to a hardware store and they bought Rubbermaid trash cans and literally just started putting ice bags in them, and we would just stand in them just to get some kind of relief from 3-hour full padded practice, 2-a-days in record heat in Wisconsin.
Anton Harrison, right shoulder issue, off to the side today, doing similar work to what Ben Barch is doing, football movement things. Saw that today.
That's concerning now. It's something to watch. I mean, look, a shoulder with an offensive lineman, just because I can speak from personal experience when it comes to shoulders. Shoulder is one of the most complicated joints in the body.
Yeah, and it's not like you can hide it as a lineman. You're using it every play.
That's it. I mean, you ride the bike every day. And when I say ride the bike, you control defensive linemen and block defensive linemen and everything. It all comes down to shoulder strength, your lower body placement and balance, and then the ability to transfer that lower body power through the upper body to control a defender. And that controlling, if you have a shoulder injury, that's hard to do. So I'm not trying to sound alarms. I'm just saying that this is something that bears watching, because you have a first-round pick rookie tackle that you're expecting to be your opening day start at right tackle because of the suspension of Cam Robinson, and he's missed a couple days with a shoulder injury. I'm just saying, let's just keep an eye on it.
Well, it's a day off tomorrow and see what happens if they roll him out there on Saturday in the stadium, or wait another day, and we'll see.
I don't know.
Who knows?
We'll see, but something worth watching.
Calvin Ridley, we mentioned him, sore foot, he said, not expected to linger. He changed cleats and got through practice. Tyler Shatley out today. Doug Pederson's show is coming up in just a moment, and, hey, you're going to be at the bank this fall, and if you're a Jags fan who's always on the move, we've got the perfect plan for you. With our bundle at the bank, you can purchase tickets to 3 or more games starting at just $58 per game. That's right, Logs, 58.
That's a deal.
That's a hell of a deal. Get the flexibility you want for your time this fall. Visit jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. Doug Pederson show coming up. He won't join us live again until regular season. So we're giving him a few weeks away. We're going to hear a lot of his sound from his press conference yesterday, and different topics around the team, of course. We'll also hear a conversation I had this week with Travis Etienne Jr., Jaguars running back, good headspace, good athlete, third year in the league, speedy, always wants to take the distance, but is improving between the tackles. And that's been a focus, I think, in this offseason, is how to kind of keep defenses guessing as to where he's going.
Yeah, and it's fun watching that position group. I mean, when we talk about the depth, you and I talked a little bit about it last week, about the depth at the tackle position, and there's not many teams in the National Football League that can withstand a suspension or an injury to one of their starting tackles, where this team has done a great job. Credit to Trent Baalke and his staff for getting some really good tackles. This running backs room is deep too now.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you're talking about having Etienne, and then you got a draft pick who
Tank Bigsby.
I think Tank is doing a really good job of minimizing the movements to get north and south, and he's a big back, so when it gets live, I think we're going to see even more specialness from him. You got Jermichael Hasty last year, who was a really nice change of pace guy. And D'Ernest Johnson this year is added to the mix.
Veteran player.
This is a really, really good group.
Plenty ahead. The Doug Pederson Show is coming up in just a moment on the Jaguars Radio Network. Our thanks to Kai Stevens for joining us, Jaguars.com reporter. Thanks to our entire crew. For Jeff Lageman, I'm JP Shadrick. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Happy Hour. Jaguars Radio Network coverage coming up. The Doug Pederson Show in just a moment.
Welcome to the Doug Pederson Show. JP Shadrick and former Jaguar Jeff Lageman discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Doug Pederson Show starts right now.
And welcome in the second edition of the Doug Pederson Show for the 2023 campaign. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. No Coach Pederson this week. He'll be back with us at the start of the regular season, week 1, when the Jaguars prepare to go to Indianapolis to face the Colts. We'll hear from Doug Pederson in the studio again. We've got plenty of sound coming up from this week from the Jaguars head coach. We'll hear from Travis Etienne Jr. as well. A conversation I had with the Jags running back earlier this week, and it's year 3 in the league, year 2 on the field for him. And what adjustments has he made moving into this offense now for his second year? And, I mean, he went over 1,100 yards. We'll see how much more he can get coming up. Jeff Lageman, good afternoon.
Afternoon, JP. I'm doing good. Doing good. Are you tall? I get the feeling that you're pulling a Pete Prisco on me.
How so?
You look taller in the chair. Do you have your chair higher for a reason?
Well, no. I mean, I've been sitting here for an hour on a local show here in Jacksonville with you, and you just now noticed.
No,
I don't know.
No, I noticed, but I didn't bring it up until now.
I noticed you just brought it up.
I'm just curious. Do you have the Pete Prisco?
Do you think I'm lifting? Is that what you think? Do you think there's extra?
I'm wondering.
I don't think so. It's just as tall as yours.
You have your seat higher, though.
No. I mean, I have to be able to get to the table. That's all this is. It's not like I'm, all the way to the top. So it's not like the old David Letterman trick where
I think you're pulling a David Letterman.
Letterman used to have his chair really high, and the guest chair was like
you're
super
pulling a
low.
Letterman. I think you are.
I don't think so.
Just my thought.
Is it working?
You're definitely higher than me.
I don't know about that.
All right, that's it.
Hey, second week of training camp. Let's get serious now. It's football here. What do you think so far? 2 days of pads.
That's better.
Logs. 2 days of pads so far. They didn't work out in pads today. They'll do it again Saturday.
I'm so tall
Sunday,
right now I can't even reach my microphone.
Monday. That's fantastic.
Sorry about that.
All right, so what's the biggest standout from the padded days so far for you?
What has stood out?
Yeah.
Well, the competition and the improved roster. You see a lot of positions that have become more competitive because the depth is better. If you go back and you look at this football team a couple years ago, from a quality of depth or talent level standpoint, it wasn't very good. It's better now. It's deeper now. It's more talented now. And I think that's the thing that stands out the most. Now, there are some position groups that you sit there and you go, okay, it's not glaring that it's that much better now, but you hope that through some competition and development that they get better. But offensively, when you look at every position group that there is on offense, I would say that every group is better. Okay, running backs, the addition of Tank, D'Ernest Johnson, the wide receiving group, Calvin Ridley's added to it. Offensive line, okay, you added a first-round draft pick. You added Josh Wells in free agency, tight end. You added a draft pick out of Penn State and Brenton Strange, who I think is really good. Prince is developing, okay, is having a fantastic beginning of camp. So, I mean, that covers the quarterback room. Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah,
you're two in the system.
You're good.
Okay. Defense, okay. Look at the safety group. Better, okay. The addition of Johnson to that group. I mean, this might be one of the deepest position groups that there is. Cornerback. You had a lot of numbers, okay, this year in the draft and then last year in the draft. That's a group that you hope that out of the numbers, okay, that you've added to it, that somebody develops.
Or a lot of later round draft pick.
Exactly, because there's a couple ways that you can address maybe what is a perceived weakness on your football team. One way is to put a lot of draft equity into it, and there's a lot different ways to put draft equity into it. The higher the pick, that's higher equity, right, in the draft. Another way is to do it with multiple picks, maybe in later rounds, and that's how Trent Baalke and his staff and Doug have addressed that position group. They added a couple late-round picks last year, mid and a late-round pick this year with that group. And can they get better? That's going to be something that bears watching. Defensive tackle, did they really add anything? Lacey they added in the draft. Not really a pass rusher. They didn't really add an accomplished guy in free agency anywhere for the most part on defense. So that's something that bears watching. Can they get better from within? Can they develop? Can guys that they've already had in the lineup like Devin Lloyd and Trayvon Walker, can they get better since some of these young guys at the corner position develop? So, I mean, that's the one thing that stands out. This roster overall is much better. And then in year two of the system, things are faster now at this point in training camp than compared to last year.
I mean, that's the mark of a good roster, right? If you don't turn over any starting gigs really on both sides of the ball, at least on paper right now, 2 weeks into camp, most of those starting gigs are filled, right? You're just kind of working on depth.
Yes and no. Okay. You always sit there and go, okay, everything's available. Because, I mean, the reality is, JP, is if somebody comes along and is better than the starter, they're going to be starting. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay. It's survival of the best in the National Football League. And, but is it likely to happen with some guys? And some guys at certain positions, probably not. But there's always roles that can be carved out. Like Etienne's a starter. Okay, but if Bigsby continues to show some of the things that we're seeing in camp, it's going to be a shared role. Okay, if Tank Bigsby doesn't show, then Etienne is going to be more of the central figure and going to get majority of the snaps. At tight end, Brenton Strange, his development. Okay, if all of a sudden he starts doing really good, okay, then Farrell reps will get limited, and Prince's reps may get limited because if they're going to go to 2 tight end sets, and Brenton Strange is really good, okay, then he's going to carve out a role for himself. So, I mean, it's just that's how it works. I mean, that's why you have training camp. The one thing about training camp, JP, that I think a lot of people go into, and they have a lot of assumptions. And Belichick was the guy that really kind of hammered this home every year. And a lot of people looked at it as Belichick coach speak, was that every year is different and you have to earn it every year. You can't build upon last year. Last year is over. And when he used to always say that, people would, that's just Belichick being boring and he doesn't want to give us a soundbite. It's the truth. It's the truth. And Doug Pederson said so much as the same thing to his team. And then, hey, we have to put the work in. We did last year, have to do it this year. This facility that we have, this great brand new facility, it's not going to help. It's not going to win us any games. We still have to put in the hard work.
Up next, Doug Pederson will explain the communication with the left tackles on this team so far in the offseason, Cam Robinson and Walker Little. We are off and running. This is the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
We communicated with both guys, quite honestly. Cam did a great job this offseason of communicating with us, when we found out the news and everything, and he was up front with everything. And then we were honest back with him and said, listen, this is the plan. And, we spoke with Walker the same way. And so you nip a lot of things by being open and honest and having those conversations, even though they might be difficult for a player to listen to. It's reality, and that's where we are. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just having that open communication.
That's Doug Pederson, of course, Jaguars head coach, earlier this week on the communication with both left tackles, Cam Robinson and Walker Little. Welcome back. It is the Doug Pederson Show from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center in downtown Jacksonville. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. We'll have head coach Doug Pederson with us again in studio week 1 before the Jaguars-Colts matchup. And yeah, communication's key in any business, any aspect of life. Certainly when it comes to putting together a situation like this on the offensive line. Cam out for 4 weeks. Walker Little, a guy who's been around here for now a couple years and kind of waiting in the wings. He did a great job at the end of last season when Cam was banged up with an MCL injury, he told me. So, all right, this is what it is, guys. Cam, you're out. Walker's got to play. We'll reevaluate when it's time.
Well, and I think they're doing a good job as far as getting Walker Little ready for the first 4 weeks. And once you get – and a lot of people are asking the question of me, and I'm sure they're asking questions of you, JP, and the question is natural. What happens when Cam comes back? And the answer is not clear. The answer is simply this. You don't know until you see how well Walker Little's doing at left tackle and how well the team is doing. Because if you try to sit here and predict what's going to happen, you'll be wrong. Because you don't know where everything's going to be.
A lot of life can happen between now and then.
And
yes.
where is Cam at?
Yeah.
Okay, how soon can he be ready? Because you got to remember something. When he has the suspension for 4 weeks, it's not like he's practicing during the week and then not just playing in the games. He's not even in the building for 4 weeks,
right.
Which, by the way, I think is I'm going to use a good word here. I don't think it's very smart by the league. I was going to use a word
that was a phrase. That wasn't just one word.
A and ended with an E.
Asinine is not a bad word.
Well, I kind of look at it as it is because the first part of it is. Okay.
It has nothing to do with that.
You said it, not me.
It has nothing to do with that.
Well, it's got the first part of it.
No, it's not. It has literally nothing to do with it.
I interpret it as that.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay. I like to be wrong sometimes.
Oh, you're
it's
wrong
okay
on
to
this
be
time.
wrong. That's all right. I don't mind being wrong.
Anyway.
But my point is that there's a great it's first of all, they're doing a great job of making sure that what's important is the first week. Because they've got Walker Little out there now, and the reality is you can't be worried about feelings. You're running a business here. You're running a football team, trying to get ready for week 1. but they're still getting Cam reps in there with the ones just to make sure that he keeps fresh. But then again, my point was that the first 4 weeks, Cam's not in the building. He's not practicing. Can he simulate and do things on his own to where he comes back in week 5 and then he's ready to go? That's hard to do. I mean, really hard to do. So you got to kind of see where Walker Little's at. Then you got to see where Cam is at. You want to see where the team is at, where the offense is at, and then you figure it out. And you adjust and go from there.
We'll see what happens. See what happens.
The great thing about Doug is that open lines of communication with Doug and the players is always there. That was never Tom Coughlin's strong suit. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and I hope he gets in this year.
Well, I would.
But
think,
that was not what a little different era.
Yeah. And it was a one-way conversation, probably.
That's
right?
my point.
Yeah, one-way street.
Yeah. He was. He would, but sometimes JP, it wasn't even a one-way conversation. Sometimes it was you just found out, and that's just the way it was. But that's okay. But I appreciate how Doug does things and how he's. I don't want to say he's a player's coach, but the players love him. And that's the important thing, and they respect him.
Quick thought on this, though. We're talking about players possibly sliding into guard if Ben Barch is not playing, still whatever's going on at the left guard spot, right? It's not Madden. You can't just plug a guy in to play left guard who's played tackle unless he's ready for it, right?
I'm glad you brought that up because somebody else posed that question to me, and maybe it was you. I don't remember. But they said, well, when Cam comes back, isn't getting the best 5 on the field putting Walker Little at guard? And my answer to that was putting Walker Little at guard doesn't mean that that's the best 5 starters. It means that might be your best 5 starting off. Let me rephrase that. That might be your best 5 offensive linemen. It doesn't mean it's your best starting 5. Because Walker Little may not play left guard as well as Tyler Shatley could.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to have the best left guard.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to have the best left tackle, the best center, okay, the best right guard, and the best right tackle. For example, if you had 2 Cam Robinsons and 2 Walker Littles and an Anton Harrison, 5 guys, right? Do you play all 5 of those guys? Can somebody snap?
Yeah, who's snapping the ball?
Can they play guard?
I don't know.
I mean, so you get my point.
Yeah. Jags fans want customized Jags furniture for your home? Check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. ZipChair, furniture for fans. The early returns on pass rush in this camp when we come back. It's next on the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Are you ready to elevate your tailgate experience, Jaguars fans? Citrus Distillers, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is excited to announce the 2023 Jaguars Limited Edition Whiskey Bottle. Now available at Total Wine and other participating retailers. Elevate your tailgate experience, Jaguars fans. The 2023 Jaguars Limited Edition Whiskey Bottle. Duval!
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Where I get excited is when we're in team drills and they're working their games, their combinations, their stunts, their pressures. That's where I get to see the pass rush. You know, it's good to see athleticism. It's good to see movement skills, get off. It's good to see all of that, you know, in one-on-ones. But sometimes it's a little bit unfair one way or the other.
It's Doug Pederson earlier this week. Welcome back to the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Head coach Doug Pederson will be in studio with us again week 1 of the regular season. We'll have him back. We're hearing from him from earlier in the week and some media availabilities. The full availability on Jaguars.com. That brings us to the pass rush. And that's been a focus of a lot of pundits, analysts throughout this offseason. How can the Jaguars improve some of those numbers, sack numbers mainly? And a lot of, I guess, pressures are not an official NFL stat. Quarterback hits are. Jaguars, Josh Allen, at least, was among sites that rank pressures. He was up there in pressures.
Yes.
Just couldn't finish it off in
somewhere
sacks.
Top 10-ish.
So different sites rank pressures different ways, right? I mean,
and there's 2 places that have that stat. PFF is one of them, and I can't remember the other one. But PFF is the one that we subscribe to.
That's right. So the trick is turning those pressures into either sacks, quarterback hits, taking that next step as a defense as a whole. Not just Josh Allen. Trayvon Walker, obviously. You can name any name on that defensive line you want. So far, there's been 2 days of padded practices, and Doug Pederson there in that clip just talked about it. Hey, the one-on-one stuff sometimes, you know, the first day in, you're just trying to set a tempo, and then maybe you're going to build on that as it goes into teamwork. How real is that? You know, what have you seen from the pass rush so far? And if it's not great so far, is it too early to freak out?
Okay. Well, let me start with just disagreeing with Doug a little bit in that I think this is an advantage for the defensive line, where he was saying that it can be an advantage for the offensive line. I don't see that. Again, if you look at that drill, there's no chips, there's no help from another offensive lineman. You have an idea of what the cadence is going to be. You don't have play action. You don't have to worry about the run. You don't have to worry about bootlegs, you know, where the quarterback's going to be. So anyway, it's a big advantage, I think, for a defensive lineman. But what we've seen is 2 padded practices. Okay, 2 padded practices means you've had 2 one-on-one pass rush drills. The one thing that I remember very distinctly on the first and the second and about the third or fourth days, and when you're in pads, you're still trying to get comfortable moving in all of this equipment. And you're tired, fatigued, because you've had 4 or 5 days under your belt in this acclimation period. And even though it's an acclimation period, you're still fatigued. And then when you finally do put the pads on, now it's another adjustment, just trying to get your body to move and be quick and agile and sudden and figure out pass rush moves. So the first couple days are always a little slow to have success from a pass rusher standpoint, but I got to give credit where credit is due. Walker Little, Cam Robinson, those guys at the tackle position, and then the other offensive linemen as well, they have been winning, and they're doing a very good job. And so that's the hard thing about when you're in training camp, is because you're saying one side wins, one side loses. Well, sometimes it's a win-win, and sometimes it's, well, this one did a little bit better today, this one didn't do quite as good. You know, so you always have a winner and a loser kind of sometimes in people's eyes.
Well, isn't that like life? Yeah.
Well,
That's
yeah,
how-
I mean,
that's
to
how
some
it is.
extent, but sometimes in that particular drill, there's not a clear-cut winner and a loser.
Okay, stalemate.
You know, and here's the other thing: if you're beating an offensive lineman in that drill consistently, well, maybe Trevor's gotten rid of the ball, and you're not getting a sack anyway.
Yeah,
you know, so,
good point.
So that's
Good
the
point.
hard. That's why you want to see more wins by the defense, because there's other circumstances that prevent that player from having success as a pass rusher. So you want the defense to win more than the offense in that, and it hasn't happened. So right now, advantage offense, and you want to see more out of the defense, especially with that group that's over there doing pass rush.
You know what helps slow down a pass rush? A strong running game. We'll hear from Travis Etienne Jr. coming up, explaining some technique changes entering season number 3. That's next on the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Football and Miller Lite. Duval's greatest pairing. Can cracks and kickoffs. Tailgates going well past postgame. Sunday night overtime. Followed by Monday morning pride. Knocking on bar tops for luck. Kicking back on any given Sunday. You never forget the way some things taste. Jags football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Emphasize shoulder square, anticipating where the hole could be and just trusting that. And he's done an outstanding job. He's bought into that. He sees it. We've been able to show it to him. He's working on that in training camp right now. And that's the next step for him. It was his rookie year, so there's a lot of things to, you just don't hand the guy a ball and let him go run. I mean, sometimes that happens, but there's that skill and ability to anticipate a hole. We always talk about, speed to or speed through the hole, not to the hole type thing. And he's really embraced that this training camp. And that to me is the next step for him.
That's head coach Doug Pederson on Travis Etienne Jr. And welcome back to the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. I had a chance earlier this week to catch up with Travis Etienne Jr. It's his third NFL season, his second on the field. Remember, his rookie year was wiped out in the preseason with a foot injury. He missed the entire year. Came back last year with over 1,100 yards, and Travis Etienne is ready for much more this time around.
Understanding what it felt like to be so close to get the Super Bowl or just be in the playoffs, just as a young team being there and just feeling that hunger. We just want to get there again, and we know that there's no substitution for hard work, and we know that to get there we have to. Days like this is going to help us propel us forward, and so that's why you see the intensity. That's why you see everybody just going full speed and just doing things the right way, and I feel like that's going to help us.
We've heard a lot about the fast starts or lack thereof last season, early in the season, right? Even later in the season, comeback wins and all that. But if this team starts fast early in games, gets that lead going, then things can turn out a whole lot better. How do you improve that? How do you improve fast starts? Does it start out here in some way?
Yes, sir, most definitely. But I also think it just starts with the familiarity of the playbook. Everybody's second year in this scheme, so we know more. We know what to expect. We've done it millions of times now. We out there and we know what to do. We're not out there just playing in the scheme for the first time, trying to get things on tape. We already have tape. We know what everybody's going to bring to the table, and we also added Calvin Ridley. So I feel like just us going out there and being ourselves is going to help us start fast.
How different of a running back are you now than you were this time last year? Physically, mentally, the whole deal.
Physically, I feel great. I feel like I felt great last year physically. I would just say, my biggest leap is just mentally. And just understanding the little details of my position. Just like me getting my shoulder square, just how much that means. And just how much that means to our offense. And, just to a linebacker, he can't dictate where I'm going to go, or he can't get an early guess on where I'm going to go. So kind of just playing cat and mouse with the linebacker and getting my shoulder square. So I feel like mentally I took a huge step, and that's going to propel me forward this season.
All right, Tank Bigsby comes in here. There's a lot of guys who've been around the league as well in this running back room, but take us through Tank so far. How do you guys get along? How's the progression for the rookie?
I love Tank. I love him. I feel like he's just always asking questions, and that's what it's really good, because a guy like that, he pushes you to be better. If he's always asking questions, he always has my mind wondering, my mind searching for things, so I can be the best role model for him. And I love that. And he's hungry. He got that fire about him, and that's what I love. And that's what this running back needed in order to just get to that next level. Whenever I come out, Tank goes in, there's no drop off, and I feel like that's what's going to just help us be the best team moving forward.
You talked about the receivers, but you guys in the passing game too is something that really wasn't utilized a lot last year, at least in your case. Could that be something you improve upon as this season goes along? In the receiving game, all those guys are going to get attention running downfield. That leaves you open, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like we're going to continue to be in our spots, and I feel like this year is going to be a lot better, because Travis is his second year in Doug's system, so he's going to get to the check down a lot quicker this year. And so just on the running back, just being in the spot and being ready to catch the ball whenever it comes our way. And I feel like that's all we can do, is just be there. And when a quarterback needs to, just catch the ball and just get what we can.
Are these the dog days of camp, or are we still a little early for the dog days yet? This is a long way until the first preseason game, right?
This is definitely not the dog days. These are the beautiful days right here. The dog days are soon to come, and we just have to can't take these days for granted, because the dog days, like you said, they're dog days, and those days you're going to have to fight and push through and just win the battle mentally, because physically you're going to be exhausted, but it's all about can you speak to your body, can your mind control your body, can you keep going?
It's Travis Etienne Jr., Jaguars running back. Full conversation on the official Jaguars podcast network. Over 1,100 yards on the ground last year. And Doug Pederson was talking about some of that technique stuff in his press conference earlier this week,
which was very really revealing.
It really was.
Yeah, when you talk about Travis last year at the very beginning of the year, Doug used a couple descriptions there that I thought were spot on. I'm amazed at how well he describes it, because he uses the term speed through the hole, not to the hole. And we saw at times last year when Travis was just kind of getting his feet wet, where he would be in a hurry to hit the hole. Okay? And a lot of times he was in such a hurry, he didn't have the patience to allow the hole to develop, or he didn't have his shoulder square to where he saw where the hole was. And so
then to that point, like shoulders square to
the line of scrimmage.
Parallel with the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
right?
to the line of scrimmage. Because what that enables a running back to do is it allows them to have the vision to see where the options are.
If you're facing the sideline, you can't see to the left or behind you.
And it not only gives you the ability to see the options, what Travis alluded to, it keeps the linebackers and people that had the vision on him, they're not sure where he's going. If Travis turns his shoulders to the way he's running, the linebackers are going, okay, I know where he's going. But Travis can actually run in that direction with his shoulders still square to the line of scrimmage, and it shows that he's still a threat to plant his foot and come back and go in a different direction. So that the shoulder square accomplishes two things. It allows Travis or any running back to have the vision to find the hole, but then it also keeps the defenders a little unsure of where he's committing to. Definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the speed through the hole. Okay? Allow yourself a little patience, and then once you see the hole, that's when you want to have the speed is going through the hole, but not necessarily to the hole because the holes are constantly changing. Travis at times was a little impatient at the beginning of last year because he was in such a hurry to go. A lot of times he was out of control, or he would not see the opening of where the hole truly opened up at.
Or try to bounce it out a little too early and
didn't have the patience.
Try to hit a home run.
Again, impatience. Yeah. And that's speed through the hole, not to the hole. And it was a great description there by Doug. And what I love also, a coach's job is to get through to the players, to teach the players. Did we not just hear the same speak from Doug that Travis is using?
That's right.
Okay, that means that the messaging is getting home.
That's right.
And that the coaches, their messages are heard. And that's what's impressive, is that week in and week out with Doug, his messaging gets home.
We're back in a moment. Linebacker play, including Devin Lloyd. Jeff, we'll get your take on what Devin has done so far in year number 2. His first camp, though. He didn't have camp last year. As a rookie, he certainly does in year 2. It's the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gate's frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Hey, Jags fans. Renewal by Andersen is a proud partner with your favorite team, and they bring that same commitment to excellence to your home's windows and doors. With their advanced Fibrex material and energy-efficient glass options, their windows and doors are the perfect choice for your next home improvement project. Let them help you bring more light and life into your home. Schedule a complimentary consultation today. Renewal by Andersen, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CGC 1527613.
Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative, results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
It's a team. It's us, right? It's when we get it down to the 53, and it's those are the guys you go to Sundays with, and it's just, again, for a coach to hear that that right there can take your team a long way, right? It doesn't matter how much adversity comes your way. If I got a lot of guys speaking that type of language, that's a positive that can carry us through a lot of different situations.
The team mentality. Doug Pederson really discussing the left tackle situation. Cam Robinson, Walker Little helping each other. Not worried about the animosity if there is. Apparently not any. And that's a team mentality. Welcome back. It's the Doug Pederson Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Head coach Doug Pederson will be with us in studio again week 1 before the Indianapolis Colts matchup up at Lucas Oil Stadium.
It was great having him last week, though.
It was great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he sat in with us for 10 minutes or so, and it was great.
Year 2 for Devin Lloyd. First-round pick. Jags traded up to get him in last year's draft. And we all know what happened to him last season. He was hurt in training camp early, didn't really have training camp at all. He was the rookie of the month in September in the league. He had some big plays early.
Yeah, big time. And
then he kind of faded as it went. Was out of the lineup.
Yeah, the only experience that he had in training camp preseason was the very last preseason game against Atlanta that he got a lot of reps.
That's right.
But besides that, it was kind of nothing. And he had a really good month of September, but he still had moments in that month of December or September that his head was spinning, and Foye was having to get him lined up. And then you hit this rookie wall, and Devin said that he started to have some doubts and lost confidence. And that's when you lose that, that's hard. It's hard to come back from that. And he's worked incredibly hard, and a guy that I'm a huge fan of because his level of maturity is impressive. He is a leader. He is incredibly well-spoken and smart when it comes to talking about the game of football, but he's still got to be able to take the next step. He can't rely on Foye to get him lined up. He's got to be able to help line up other people. He has to anticipate. As a linebacker or as a football player, if you're thinking about what your assignment is and where you need to line up, then you're not focusing in on what's important, which is the play that's in front of you and your opponent. You're not even trying to figure out what they're trying to do because you're trying to get lined up. And if you're talking to somebody else, you can't see and react what's in front of you. So this is something that he has to be able to take major strides in this year, major strides. There's no questioning his athleticism. The guy moves so athletically, it's impressive. But the one thing he does not have is great speed. So he's not like a 4.5, low 4.5 guy, 4.4 linebacker or anything like that. So if you're not a blazer, like in Jaguars history, the fastest linebacker in reaction time was Paul Posluszny. The fastest linebacker as far as speed, Telvin Smith.
Sure.
Okay? So if you're Posluszny, your mind makes you play faster because you were quick to diagnose. If you're Telvin, and it was fun watching those two guys play together because Paul would be one step forward towards where the play was going. Telvin still hadn't moved. And as soon as Paul's first step would hit the ground, then Telvin would move. But because Telvin was so fast, he still got there at the same time as Paul. You know what I mean? So if you're not fast and Devin's not a blazer, okay, then you need to have the mental aspect to where you can be faster making the diagnosis of the play so that you can start going where you want to go. But when he gets going, his athleticism is amazing, and the ball just seems to find him.
Yeah, he's around it.
It will be interesting to see this year, too, because last year was year one for Mike Caldwell as a defensive coordinator, and the entirety of the defense, it was their first year. They're learning what their players do well, learning what their players don't do well. How much different schematically will the defense look this year? How much will they allow Devin Lloyd to do some of what he did at Utah, which is lining up on the end of the line of scrimmage, maybe a bear kind of defense look? Will he do some of that? That's going to be fun to watch. But he's got to take a big step up for this defense to take a step up.
I want to see him get after it.
I'm his biggest fan, JP.
Go blitz him.
Is he not the best guy? I mean, he's
great
such a
to talk to.
Super guy.
Had a conversation with him. It's on the official Jags podcast network too. And yeah, his mind is clear. He's stronger. He's figured out what it takes to get through the rigors of a season. He understands it now, at least.
Let me give people a story about Devin Lloyd, okay? All offseason, he was here working out, okay? Was here for everything. OTAs, the workouts, committed, right? So then you go to the mandatory minicamp. He doesn't have to go because he's been at every OTA. He's been at every workout. He was excused.
Yeah, the vets were kind of, you guys.
Some vets were expected to go.
Yep.
Devin was not expected to go. What did he do? He went to minicamp.
Yep.
He wanted the reps. Folks, he went to minicamp because he wanted the reps when he didn't have to go. I mean, that should tell you the kind of a player that he is. I mean, he was busting his hump all offseason, there for every OTA, all the workouts, and then minicamp rolls around and they're like, you don't need to be there. And he goes, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to get better. I'm going to be there. Awesome. Love it.
When we return, tight ends. The Doug Pederson Show continues on the Jaguars Radio Network.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass. Raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated. Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
You just don't see the true wide, what we call a wide tight end, that big inline blocker much anymore. These guys are more athletic. They're skilled. Can they block? Yes. You know, you're having to redesign some run plays where you're not asking them to block, D ends and holding up. And so that position, is a versatile position.
Head coach Doug Pederson earlier this week discussing the tight end position and where it's kind of trending around the NFL. Welcome back. It's the Doug Pederson Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Coach Pederson will be back with us week 1 for the regular season edition of the Doug Pederson Show. There's some tight ends on this team, Logs. I'll say that. Evan Ingram, of course, has the new deal. Brenton Strange, the draft pick, of course, has been getting plenty of reps. Then you got Luke Farrell has been talked up all offseason by this staff. Garrett Prince is putting together a good camp so far. Sammis Reyes is the guy you want first off the bus to set the tone for what's going to happen. He's a freak. He's 6'7", 240. And then Josh Pederson, son of Doug, spoke with the media today for the first time, and he was in the USFL. That's a deep tight end room.
Well, look, the reality is, I mean, how many do you think they can keep? Interesting question.
I bet 4. I mean, special teams will come into play in the back end of it, but, I mean, considering the use of tight ends in this offense?
I mean, right now my expectation is 4. Okay?
I think they would like 4.
And those 4, I think, are pretty apparent. Evan Ingram, Luke Farrell, your draft pick Brenton Strange, and then Prince, who has started out like gangbusters, but he's got to be able to maintain that consistency. And he's more in the lines of like an Evan Ingram, where he's a pass-catching tight end. What Doug talks about how you kind of redesign some things because the league doesn't really have a big inline tight end anymore. Well, the guy that's probably the closest to that, which Chris Manhertz was that guy last year, the guy that's probably as close to that now is Luke Farrell. But Brenton Strange is a very capable blocker. I think you can put him on the end of the line of scrimmage, but I think his strength is a little bit removed in blocking in space. And I've said before, I think he's the best space blocking tight end I've ever watched college film on. And I think he's tremendous in that capacity. And I think he's going to provide another level of success for runs when they get down the field because he's that good down the field blocking, which a lot of tight ends struggle in that because it's hard to track down a guy in space when he has that much maneuverability in the open ground. So I think that's going to help. But here's the other thing. If you really need an inline tight end that bad, play another offensive lineman.
Right? Did they do some of that last year?
Sure. Yeah, and you can do that. And so if there's one guy that you're sitting there going, well, let's see. There's 2 guys that are susceptible if you're only going to keep 3, Luke Farrell and Prince. So what happens? I don't know. It'll be. I think they keep 4, and I think it's a good group. I think it's a really good group. Evan Ingram looks in fantastic shape.
And to his credit, he is out early. He's one of the first, if not the first player out every day, getting his work in before.
It goes back to JP, the thing that I talked about last year, and that it was a great job in personnel of bringing in guys that had a work ethic for a young quarterback. Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk. These guys worked every single day, and for a young quarterback, that was so important. Well, that work ethic, just because Evan Ingram got a new contract, it didn't go away. That's how he is. That's how he's wired. And that's what you love about Evan Ingram. He was never one of those guys that you go, if we pay him, is he going to have the same come to work, grinded attitude? Yeah, he may not. No, that was never a concern with him. And he's proven it. He's been out there grinding and working incredibly hard. And Brenton Strange is a hard worker too. There's a guy that comes to practice every day. He's impressed me so far.
Music lives here. The Daily's Play season is in full swing with something for everyone. And coming soon, Logs, listen to this lineup. Pentatonics, Ghost, Slightly Stupid, Godsmack, Neo, John Party, and so much more.
Slightly Stupid.
Yeah. Neo, by the way, played the 2013 Jaguars-Niners game at Wembley. He did the pregame show and the Star-Spangled Banner.
I got it. My buddy loves Godsmack. Loves Godsmack. He's like, play me Godsmack. He would love it.
A full list of shows and tickets available at dailysplace.com. This is the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Don't get sacked by a no-name propane rookie this football season, Jacksonville. Draft an all-star and switch to AmeriGas, the official propane provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the homes and businesses who know it was always the Jags. Show off your Duval pride at your next tailgate with a Jaguars grill tank from AmeriGas. To find an AmeriGas exchange location near you or to order a propane fill-up for your home or business, visit AmeriGas.com/Jacksonville-Jaguars or call 844-PRO-JAGS.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Hey, Jags fans, stop dreaming of creating your game day fan cave and build the Jaguars den of your dreams with ZipChair. When it comes to maximum comfort, ZipChair.com is the only place for officially licensed Jaguars recliners, sofas, bar stools, office and gaming chairs, all featuring high-quality embroidered Jags logos. Crack open a few cold ones in the comfort of a ZipChair and make your home the place to be on game day. Head over to ZipChair.com and save 20% today. Use code JagsRadio at checkout. ZipChair.com, furniture for fans.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
I think so. You know, there's just not enough reps, to go around. There's not enough throws. There's the way practices are structured and the amount of time you can spend on the field. You just, you have to maximize what you can. And so, I think it is part of that, that you're seeing 3 instead of 4. But just not enough reps to go around.
Doug Pederson talking quarterbacks in the old days, like 6-7 years ago, you'd have 4 quarterbacks in training camp, but no more. The timing has changed. Welcome back. It's the Doug Pederson Show. Final moments of the program. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman.
And let me add to this that there's not enough reps to go around for 4 quarterbacks, but the reality is that there's not enough quality to justify keeping 4 typically. Okay, if all of a sudden you've got 4 supremely talented quarterbacks, you're going to find a way to find reps for 4 quarterbacks. Okay, but it's just hard to find the talent that justifies a 4th.
Upcoming schedule, players are off Friday and then 3 consecutive days of pads. Saturday it's in the stadium, Sunday and Monday at the Miller Electric Center. And Doug Pederson said this week that was really by design when he scheduled training camp. Hey, this is the time to really kind of find out a lot of things about this football team, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, and it's the modern day grind. I guess you could say.
Right.
But look, these guys, I mean, this is where they bond. This is where you sweat, you bleed, you have a little bit of mental toughness like Etienne talked about. And this is where also that you put in the hard work so that when you get into the season, you've got a lot of reps under your belt on these things that might not get used frequently once you get into the regular season. You're paying the bills, so to speak, right now for the rewards later.
We've got football tonight. Quickly, who do you got? Hall of Fame game, Jets, Browns in Canton, Ohio.
Again, Hall of Fame game like last year when we were there, and pick a winner. No, I wouldn't pick a winner. I'm just there's some young guys though that I want to watch, and of course Aaron Rodgers is the big story in New York, but he's not playing.
No, I don't think he'll go near the field. Thanks to our entire crew: Joe Fortunato on the audio side, Max Hochman, Brent Reaver, David Cho on the video side. Thanks to you for listening. For Jeff Lageman, I'm JP Shadrick. We will catch you next time. It's the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.